Atlantis Dubai was built to be untouchable, with 1,539 rooms, $1.5 billion spent, and the promise of endless luxury. But beneath its glittering surface, the truth is less stable. This mega resort survives on non-stop cash flow and mountains of debt. If high-spending tourists ever vanish, the entire system faces real risk. How close is paradise to unraveling? In 2008, on the outer crescent of Palm Jumeirah, Atlantis, the Palm opened its doors for the first time. The project was unlike anything Dubai had attempted before. A $1.5 billion investment rising from reclaimed sand, crowned by a vast pink arch and flanked by towers that stretched the definition of luxury. With 1,539 rooms, a sprawling water park, and one of the world's largest open-air aquariums, Atlantis was designed to be both a destination and a statement. Its sheer size and spectacle were not just for show, they were calculated to draw international headlines and, more importantly, millions of visitors from around the globe. The ambition behind Atlantis was always bigger than the building itself. Dubai's leaders saw tourism as the next engine of growth, a way to move beyond oil and secure the city's place as a global crossroads. Projects like Atlantis were meant to anchor entire districts, driving up property values and attracting waves of investment. But achieving this vision required bold financial engineering. The resort's construction relied on heavy borrowing, with the expectation that high occupancy and constant guest spending would eventually pay back the initial outlay. The opening of Atlantis, the Palm helped cement Palm Jumeirah as a premier address, turning a man-made island into a magnet for luxury brands, celebrity chefs, and global events. Ownership of the resort reflects its strategic importance. Kerzner International, a Bahamas-based luxury operator, partnered with Dubai's Investment Corporation of Dubai, the government's main sovereign wealth fund. This backing provided not just capital, but also political and financial support, tying Atlantis's fortunes directly to the city's broader ambitions. The resort's scale demanded a relentless flow of guests and revenue, and every decision, from the number of rooms to the size of the aquarium, was made with one goal: to keep Atlantis at the center of Dubai's tourism narrative. The scale of the project and the debt behind it set the stage for both its success and its exposure to risk. Everyday Atlantis, the Palm operates as a finely tuned cash machine, one that never truly sleeps. With 1,539 rooms, a sprawling water park, and one of the world's largest open-air aquariums, the resort's financial engine is always running, regardless of how many guests check in. Annual revenue estimates range between $650 million and $800 million, but that headline number hides the relentless demands underneath. The resort's income comes from more than just room bookings. Aquaventure Water Park and the Lost Chambers Aquarium attract thousands of day visitors. Restaurants, bars, and high-profile events generate a steady stream of revenue that is not from rooms. Large conferences and corporate retreats fill ballrooms and meeting spaces, especially during peak seasons. Yet for every dollar that comes in, a significant share is already spoken for by costs that never pause. Staffing is the single largest expense. Over 4,000 employees, from marine biologists to chefs, from housekeepers to maintenance engineers, draw a combined payroll of at least $150 million each year. These roles are essential, not optional. Aquariums require constant monitoring, pools need daily upkeep, and luxury service standards demand high staff-to-guest ratios. Utilities form another massive outlay. The entire property relies on desalinated water, advanced cooling systems, and complex filtration networks to keep marine habitats and water attractions running safely. Maintaining the aquatic life alone involves millions in ongoing care, including specialized veterinary services and intricate feeding and filtration routines. Energy bills soar in the Gulf climate, especially during peak summer months when air conditioning, chilled pools, and water features must work overtime. Maintenance and capital improvements are non-negotiable. As the resort ages, specialized systems such as marine tanks, water rides, and climate controls require constant investment to avoid disruption. Even routine repairs on an artificial island come at a premium. Analysts estimate total annual operating costs in the range of $350 million to $400 million, a figure that does not shrink when occupancy dips. This fixed cost structure means that Atlantis must keep cash flowing at all times. Most expenses stay the same whether the resort is full or half empty. When tourism is strong, the margin between revenue and costs can look healthy, but any drop in guest numbers or spending quickly narrows the buffer. For the thousands who keep Atlantis running, the pressure is not just to deliver luxury, but to sustain a machine that cannot afford to slow down. Dubai's tourism sector has never looked busier on paper. In 2023, the city welcomed more than 17 million international overnight visitors, a new record even higher than pre-pandemic peaks. Early figures from 2024 point to further growth, with hotel performance indicators continuing to rise and industry analysts describing the sector as booming. Yet beneath the headline numbers, the reality for luxury operators like Atlantis is more complicated. The city's hotel supply has expanded at an unprecedented pace. Over the past decade, Dubai has added tens of thousands of new hotel rooms, with a heavy concentration in the upscale and luxury segment. Palm Jumeirah, once anchored by a handful of flagship resorts, now hosts a dense lineup of five-star properties, each vying for the same high-spending international traveler. Industry data from STR and Knight Frank show Dubai's pipeline remains one of the largest in the world, with new mega projects coming online every year. This relentless supply growth means that even as visitor numbers hit records, the battle for occupancy and rates grows fiercer. For Atlantis, the pressure is twofold. On one side, record arrivals bring opportunity, with peak seasons filling rooms and attractions. On the other, the sheer volume of new competition puts downward pressure on average daily rates and squeezes margins, especially during slower months. Luxury resorts built on the assumption of high, stable occupancy now face a marketplace where price wars and aggressive promotions are routine. Events, conferences, and family holidays that once defaulted to Atlantis are now courted by a growing field of rivals, each offering newer amenities or deeper discounts. The result is a market where prosperity and risk go hand in hand. A single downturn, whether from a global recession, a spike in fuel prices, or geopolitical tension, can quickly turn surplus into struggle. In this environment, even the most iconic resorts are forced to adapt, constantly recalibrating to keep pace with demand swings and the realities of a crowded, competitive landscape. Social media thrives on spectacle, and Atlantis Dubai has become a favorite target for sensational rumors. Posts claiming hundreds of stranded tourists and whispers of imminent bankruptcy have racked up millions of views. Yet, a review of official records tells a different story. There are no insolvency filings against Atlantis the Palm. No court documents, creditor notices, or regulatory actions support the idea of a financial collapse. Commercial credit databases list the resort as an active, ongoing business with no warnings of liquidation or default. Hospitality analysts point to the numbers. Atlantis generates between $650 million and $800 million in annual revenue, with operating costs of $350 million to $400 million. High fixed costs and heavy leverage are real, but so is the cash flow. Timothy Kelly, Executive Vice President of Atlantis Dubai, describes the resort's position as competitive but strong, highlighting robust bookings and diversified income from rooms, attractions, and dining. Sector analysts echo this, describing Dubai's luxury hospitality as booming, thanks to government-backed tourism, record visitor numbers, and aggressive investment. Still, economists who study mega resorts add a caution. These projects function smoothly only while demand stays above a certain level. The debt and operating expenses are fixed, but guest numbers are not. A sudden drop in global tourism, a recession, a conflict, or an airline crisis could push even a flagship like Atlantis into stress. In that case, history suggests the state would intervene to support such a high-profile asset, as it did during Dubai World's debt crisis in 2009. The absence of distress signals today does not guarantee immunity tomorrow, but it does separate rumor from reality. There is no evidence of mass guest stranding due to insolvency or structural failure at Atlantis. When disruptions occur, they are usually linked to weather, travel bans, or operational hiccups, not financial collapse. The future of Atlantis rests not on viral claims, but on the fragile balance between global tourism, debt, and the deep pockets backing Dubai's grandest resort. Mega resorts like Atlantis depend on a global economy that can shift overnight. As Dubai's luxury sector races to expand, every shock, economic or political, tests the limits of its resilience. In a world of volatility, even icons built on sand must watch the tides. Share your thoughts below.